Good morning and welcome to this weekly market update from MRC Markets. Today is the 11th of February 2013. What we'll do today is go through some technical analysis on Euro dollar, cable, dollar yen, dollar Swiss and gold. Mainly just going through technical analysis. Won't focus on fundamentals too much, although we will have a look at the Forex calendar at the end of the video. For anyone who follows, we have 3 moving averages on each of these charts. The red one is a 55 simple moving average, the purple is 100 simple moving average, and the gold is a 200 simple moving average. So on each of these pairs, we're going for Euro dollar, cable, dollar yen, dollar Swiss and gold. We'll be looking at the weekly, daily, 4-hour and 1-hour charts on those ones. Okay, let's have a look at the Euro dollar chart. This is the weekly one. What do we have last week? Very bearish candle, bearish engulfing pattern. Although we have slightly closed above the 100-week moving average here. It's pretty much just about closed above, so it could just be a retracement candle. But it is, I must say, it is quite a heavy candle, especially as the previous week's candle closed above the 200-week moving average. It was a kind of a fake out candle, really, because we've now just previously engulfed that, and we were saying that we were due quite a healthy retracement on Euro, especially if you look at the sort of daily chart. Really has just been ripping towards the upside, and we were due some sort of retracement. That's what we've got, really, and it really can happen in a sort of matter of days, really. So we could get a further sell-off. I'm not sure. As I just said, we have closed. The last week kind of did close above the 100 week, and we are still in an uptrend. So I'll just change that line and make it a little bit thicker and change the colour as well. So yeah, in terms of the weekly, I won't dwell on it too much. I think it's more interesting setups. There's one setup I definitely want to show you. In terms of the week, we're still an uptrend, but last week's candle was bearish, but we're still above the 100-week moving average, so nothing massively of interest to us in terms of that chart. On the daily, we have another sort of shorter-term trend line there, but the setup I want to show you is if you draw a fib from that recent bounce of that trend line, or well, basically the year low, which I think it was like 1st of January. So we draw a fib from the. I'll need to change the colour of this. Wait 2 seconds. I'll change the brown. I'll draw the levels on as well. Also make the fib line a little bit thicker as well, so you go and right click Fibo properties and on this right box here make it a little bit thicker. Yeah, so what you can see here is off this recent trend line bounce on the daily. I'll delete the bigger trend line so you can see it a bit clearer. This shorter uptrend, which was from 8th of November, so yeah, sort of mid-November time, 13th of November, was the start of the uptrend. And the recent bounce off this trend, if you draw a fib from the low to the high, you can now see that we're bouncing off this 50% retracement. There's nothing stopping it from breaking that and come back down and testing the trend line support, but it is a clear sort of fib setup, which will be popular, in my opinion, amongst a lot of traders. And the key thing is that it's already starting to react off of it. So if you zoom in on the 4-hour, you can see that these candles really have respected this level, starting to rotate higher, but it's not really bouncing that aggressively up off of this retracement level. It is sort of slowly trying to retrace, but nevertheless it is nothing stopping it ripping all the way up and taking out these highs at 1.37 this week. But no, it's definitely a setup that I'm keeping on. That's the one thing I'm really sort of interested in Euro, and it'll be interesting to see how it works out for the rest of the week. If you go to a shorter term time frame, if we flip it to the 1 hour, you can, if you're looking for sell opportunities, there's recent fib there from highs to lows. We start to go towards the upside, then it has to get above this 55 bar moving average first, and then we've got the 50% retracement up there at 1.3465. But that's how I'm keeping my Euro chart set up, and yeah, there's a few decent setups out there in Euro, definitely. Cable on the weekly chart, we've been talking about this long-term trendline support, and it really, well, we're pretty much sitting on it as we speak, but it is sort of struggling to get above. And I mean, what we will do is we will draw the trendline from the edges here, so it neatens it up. But you can see clear spikes here. That one there, clear bounce up, and also a clear bounce off this one. A nice bit of lower wick as well, but also a bit of upper wick as well. So not a massive reversal candle. And you can see already at the start of this week's candles, this Monday, we've already started to see some selling in cables. So we will see. It looks like that trendline support will get tested again. Yeah, it's interesting to see how this weekly candle closes on euro. Also, along with that trendline support, we do have the 61.8% retracement in play. So if you draw out fib from the recent bounce off that trendline to that high there at one spot, 63.69, you can see that last week's candle we pierced below the 61.8 level, and we did close significantly up here. So yeah, I mean, this week's candle, as we speak, we're pretty much testing this 61.8% level. So what you want to do is, if you flip it to the shorter term time frames, you can see how it's reacting. The previous 4-hour candles just closed below that level. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see that trendline support get tested. But yeah, in terms of the daily and the weekly, in terms of the daily and the weekly, that's how I've got my chart set up personally. And in terms of the short term time frames, nothing massively of interest there, to be honest with you. It is looking quite heavy, especially if you flip it to that 1 hour chart, you can see, all those bearish 1 hour candles, very aggressive selling indeed. Yeah, but as you can see, we're pretty much testing this 61.8 at the minute. So that's how I've got my chart set up on that weekly and daily. It is good to keep the bigger picture in mind. In terms of that weekly, it's still bullish, to be honest with you. We're bouncing off a trendline support, which is also coinciding with a key Fibonacci retracement level. So yeah, the odds are for me in going towards the upside. But as I say, we are looking quite heavy currently. But that's nothing to say that's just a slight retracement. We could bounce back up. But no, it'd be interesting to see cable this week, definitely. Dollar yen, this is the weekly chart, very bullish still. However, last week's candle was a slight reversal, but there's still a decent amount of lower wick there. So some people say that we're due a retracement. In terms of this weekly chart, we're definitely due a retracement, but there's nothing to say that it won't just continue to keep on grinding higher here. And even if you flip it to the monthly chart, it just looks like it's just wanting to gun towards that 100-month moving average, which is well up at 0.98. But in terms of the weekly, daily, it's just very bullish, just continuing to grind high here. If you look at the trend lines, very steep. There's no massive, no clear real sort. There's no sort of clear setup on the daily and weekly yet. It's just all about a retracement. If we start to retrace now, then that would be the fib I'd be looking at. But as you can see, we're still miles away from that now. But there's nothing to say that could just start tanking in a few days, and we could get that retracement within a couple of days. That's how. There's that famous quote: "Go up the stairs and then come down via the elevator." So we all know how quickly retracements can happen. But in terms of the shorter term options, if you want to look at the 1 hour, or maybe this is the 4 hour chart. You can see the 4 hour, nice reaction off that 55 bar moving average there, that trend line holding well, and then down here you can see the 100 bar moving average holding quite well as well on that 4 hour chart. And if you flip it to the 1 hour, you can see how well that 200 bar moving average held there. So that's probably the way to play it in terms of his dollar yen, because it is just grinding higher and higher. But you can play off those moving averages on the shorter term time frames. Dollar yen, this is the weekly the weekly chart. Same sort of picture really, it's just been chopping inside this 55-week moving average and the 100-week moving average. You can see last week's candle, quite a bullish candle, not a huge reversal, but we closed above this 100-week moving average, and it looks like it'll want to come up and test this 55-week moving average. If we flip it to a shorter term time frame, you can see, I know we didn't speak about it in last week's video, but one setup I would look at is this daily fib from that recent swing high to swing low. Looks like it wants to come up and maybe test that 50%. We just came a bit shy of it there, but also you've got that 55-day moving average there as well. So that's what I'd keep on my daily chart. In terms of 4 hour, if you're looking for and actually no, in terms of the 4 hours, basically the same. So daily and 4 hours, all about this fib setup, in my opinion. It's just been very choppy. If you look at those sort of last few 4 hour candles, purely just going sideways. So not a massively interesting chart at the minute. I mean, on the 1 hour, if you flip to the 1 hour, you can see we've got a nice bounce off the 55 bar moving average. But in terms of going into the week, I'd literally just keep that fib up on my chart because there's nothing hugely of interest in terms of dollars. So there's much more interesting setups, as you can see, via the euro dollar and cable as well. Gold on the weekly, the first thing I notice is this 100-week moving average has been supporting it quite well. We are pretty much testing it as we speak. For the last few weeks have been very, very choppy, just purely going sideways, chopping in between the 100-week moving average and the 55-week moving average. Also, we have a trendline support which is still in play, and also we have that trendline resistance, just to sort of keep in mind really. Another thing, if you draw a fib from the lows to the highs there, you can see how we're sort of, well, I mean, we're currently in a long setup here. Technically speaking, we've had a bounce off this 61.8. People be looking to for it to rotate towards the upside, but as you can see, we're just being capped here by that 55-week moving average. So it is looking a little bit heavy really. I mean, it's just struggling to rotate towards the upside. Another thing we have here is this downtrend resistance there, which is capping. But yeah, it's just a very choppy chart really, no real direction. It's looking to break either side, I'd say, of these triangular formations. The best thing to do is just wait for a sort of daily or weekly candle close outside of one of these trend lines, and then we really could see it fly. But it is starting to look a bit heavy, especially today's daily candle is starting to looking to break those highs around there, those lows around there, which are at 1650. So yeah, quite a choppy chart. They're quite disappointed in terms of gold, because that was a lovely bounce off that 61.8 there. But and you thought it would start to rotate, but you can see on this daily chart we had the 55-day crossing down below the 200-day, and you can see it's just been chopping around those moving averages. But as we're sort of well below the 55-day now, I wouldn't be surprised to see this trendline support being tested. Okay, that's done for the chart. Let's have a look at the Forex calendar. Today is quite a quiet day in terms of news. We've got the Eurogroup meetings that's going on throughout the day. Tomorrow out of the UK, 9:30, we have UK CPI year-on-year forecast at 2.8%. At 10 AM we have the SNB Chairman Jordan speaking at 10 AM in terms of the Swiss currency, so keep that in mind. We also have the BOE inflation letter, which is tentative throughout the day. We'll have to have a look at dollar CAD next week. So it's quite a bit of dollar. Well, we've got Canadian news at 1:45 there. BOC Governor Carney speaking. At 3:30 PM UK time we have ECB President Draghi speaking, and then on Wednesday quite a bit of UK data out at 10:30. We have Bank of England Governor Mervyn King speaking, and BOE inflation report at 1:30 GMT. We have US core retail sales and retail sales data forecasted, both a drop there actually, which is quite interesting. The previous number for retail sales was 0.5%. We're now forecasting 0.1%. And on Thursday, so overnight Japanese data there, overnight core rate, which would be expected to stay the same. We also have BOJ press conference, which will be quite interesting in terms of their quantitative easing policy. Keep that in mind. At 1:30 on Thursday, we have the weekly jobless claims forecast at 361,000 from previous 366k. And on Friday, we have UK retail sales forecasted at 0.5%, so we expect a much better number there from the previous minus 0.1%. And to round off the week, we have preliminary University of Michigan consumer sentiment forecasted a better number, forecasting at 74.6 from the previous 71.3. And of course, actually on Friday is the first day of the G20 meeting, so keep an eye out there to see if there's any news out on the wires around those meetings, because you really could see a big move in the markets, especially if they're talking about the euro. Yeah, okay, and that's all for this week. I hope you enjoyed that video. Have a great week trading, and I'll catch you next week. Thanks for listening.